Welcome to the Gamer Slate podcast. It's a Saturday. We're here. We're recording. It'll go up later. Your host today is me, Aaron. But how are you guys? Larry, how are you doing?
The demons, they're coming after me.
I sent them.
Well, if you sent them, then how are you doing, Harold?
Had a long week. I am ready for some downtime, some good R&R, you know?
Downtime is always good. For sure. So, why don't we jump right into it? Are you fellas ready for the random fact to start us off?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, did you know that in ancient Rome, citizens and soldiers drank an average of 100 gallons of wine a year?
That seems like not a lot, actually.
Light work.
Yeah.
100 gallons a year. So that's an average of you're drinking a gallon like every 3 days?
Is that like so one person?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was sitting there like, all those people that little? I was like,
I think that's what they're getting at is per person.
I mean, I guess, I'd want to examine livers.
I mean, I would also say back then it was probably safer than water.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
You're probably right. Unless you're boiling it, then hey.
It's kind of like drinking a beer in Michigan. Safer than the water, buddy.
Wow.
Unless you're using the water from Michigan.
Nah, then it's just got extra minerals for flavor.
Right.
Mhm.
If you want to call it that.
Well, let's do a catch up, guys. It's been a couple weeks. We've been having life go on, as of course. But Larry, what have you been up to?
Well, it's not been too crazy for me. I mean, I've been able to catch up with a little bit of gaming, playing some Resident Evil 4 through stream. I was putting together a cabinet for the new place here, and I just plopped my happy ass down on a Sunday, put the thing together, and started catching up on The Mandalorian. And that was a blast. I forgot how much I loved the theme song from The Mandalorian.
Now with that, did you start over at the beginning, or did you start where you left off?
I just picked up where I left off in season 2. So now I'm up to season 3. I'm a couple episodes in.
This should shock no one, but I have only watched the first episode.
It doesn't shock me at all.
Oh,
It doesn't
man.
shock me at all.
I don't watch anything.
My favorite's when Grogu gets punched in the bag.
Wait, I'm just confused. Is he getting punched in his bag, or is he in a bag and he gets punched?
He bit the stormtrooper's finger, and then the stormtrooper punched him in the bag.
Did you
season
just
one.
spoil something for me, or
No, that was season 1.
that was season 1? I don't remember
See,
that.
this is why you need to do a rewatch. I haven't watched in 3 years. I'm going to start back where I left off. I remember everything.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, like the thing I loved is when he was eating the little eggs from the little toad lady, and he would just consistently grab the little eggs and like that was great comedy for me.
This is why Star Wars has been just covered in cute characters now, is because it works. We got our Ewoks,
absolutely.
we got our Grogu, we got everything.
Yep.
Harold, what have you been up to?
Man, I've been doing a lot of the same. I've been sleeping, working, and gaming. That's pretty much it.
Well, go into details. How you sleeping? What you gaming?
Sleeping like crap because I'm on third shift and I have children, so
'Cause
loudness.
you ain't got that purple mattress.
I ain't got that purple.
Better get it.
That can mean more than one thing if I ain't got that purple.
All right. So crap sleep, but it has been crap gaming.
Yeah, no. I've been playing some Sea of Thieves. That's a good part of it, but also Fortnite.
Are
so
you
that
playing
crap.
Sea of Thieves solo?
No, I've been playing with some other friends, Andy and Brett and a couple other people.
Right on. All right, so Fortnite going good, Sea of Thieves going good.
Mm-hmm,
I've been playing some Resident Evil 4 and Overwatch 2. Now, I don't think I'm quite as far as you, Larry, in Resident Evil 4. I think I just finished Chapter 3.
How are you enjoying it?
It's a blast. In my defense, I took a day off work this week, did some retail therapy, bought a movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Resident Evil 4. Just ordered pizza and had a night to myself.
You went into the store fully intending not to buy it, and it was just like looking at you.
Yep.
No. Here's the thing. I left. I took the day off work because I was feeling like crap. I needed a me day, mental health day, whatever. And I was like, leaving the apartment, walking out the store. I'm like, I know if I go to Best Buy, I'm gonna wind up buying that game in a movie. It's gonna happen. I probably shouldn't, but I went anyway. So,
Same.
A little retail therapy never hurt anybody.
Right. But then today I ordered some books, did a manga haul, got 8 books coming, ordered another limited edition book from the UK. So what do you know?
It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. How's the movie? Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, whatever the name of the movie is, I forget.
Have you not seen it?
I didn't get to see it. No,
I haven't seen it either. So
I wanted to see it. It was one of those movies that everybody was talking about, and I just never got out to the movies to see it. And I would have preferred to see it that way.
If you really let yourself get invested in what that movie is trying to say, more so than paying attention to what's happening, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It made me and Nicole like sob in the theater.
Really? Okay,
I
gotta watch it.
Such a moving story while being ridiculously stupid. Like, I won't give any spoilers, but in one of the alternate universes, everyone's just a talking rock. Like, not words, just like subtitles on the screen. These rocks are having a conversation, and people were crying.
It's rocks subbed
at this conversation between 2 rocks.
Wow.
Like, they were laughing because what is this? This is ridiculous. But also, someone's cutting onions.
Aha. Yeah, I'm going to have to watch it. It really was something that was on my radar, and time went by, and I feel like it was in the theater forever, too. Like, it stuck for a long time.
I mean, this movie won, what, 8 Oscars?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it did really well. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It won either 7 or 8 of the 11 nominations it had.
And it's got to be pretty darn good if you bought it, you know?
Right. Well,
because Aaron doesn't watch anything.
Insulting.
Insulting? No, just the truth. Like, listen, if you tell me that I should watch something, I'll probably watch it because you don't tend to waste your time with watching something that's not worthwhile.
I mean, depends on how much I really tell you, because also this week I watched the movie Heathers. Has anyone seen that? It's an 80s movie.
I have.
That sounds familiar.
It's immaculate. It's such a product of its time. But it's one of those, Heathers is one of those movies that in its era of release, it was panned critically. But now in the modern era, it's like, oh no, it was just way ahead of its time. It is amazing. Because it's just so ridiculous and funny. But so I've been watching more movies lately, and I've been watching an Amazon Prime series called Daisy Jones and the Six, which is based off a book. Also very good. So I've actually been pretty busy with media in the past couple weeks.
I got to hear some of your opinions on some of this stuff. You should be updating us daily, sir.
Watched The Menu. Watched Last Night in Soho last weekend. Watched Heathers this week.
Was The Menu good? The
Menu was amazing. Dark as heck. It is a true black comedy. Like,
I've seen bits on the TikTok.
Yeah, like, I don't want to give any spoilers, but it is a dark movie, but it's a comedy. Meanwhile, Last Night in Soho, Edgar Wright fan here. Great horror movie.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm not as well versed in cinema as I should be, because I didn't watch any of those.
Has anybody seen the trailer for Sisu yet?
I've seen the trailer for Sisu.
I think I got a notification that it was coming out into theaters that I could go see it early, and I did not pay attention to it.
All I know is some guy gets a knife rammed through his head, and the audience gasps.
Like, how is the movie going to be if it is comparatively shoving a knife through a guy's head in the preview? It's like,
I mean, it sounds like where does this movie take place? Have they stated? Because I get a vibe from it. But
I've been watching the trailer. I haven't done any really deep dives on it.
It seems like another John Wick in a different type of setting.
Country western John Wick.
Yeah, but it feels. I get vibes of Australian for some reason. Like that's what my gut
Red
says.
cowboy boots, John Wick.
Oh man, gotta do some investigations.
Oh,
I'm
it's
guessing it's like a WW2 Finland.
yeah,
Maybe
World War
that's
II, Finland. Yeah. All
Okay.
right. So yeah, but it looks cool. I'd see it. Would I go pay $20, $30 in the theaters to see it? Not sold that much yet.
Even if it was Dolby.
I don't have any nice theaters around here. We're a poor Indiana city where they're like the best we got is cracked leather seats.
Cracked leather seats are the best. Just bring some like lotion and
I mean,
lotion up the seats so that
we
it
got those
softens them up.
power
Yeah.
recliners. We got all that nice stuff, but they're old now. So
But
it's
in
like,
Indiana-
yes, power recliners and leather, but they're faded and cracked and
in Indiana, you take the risk of bringing some friends home with you if you go to a movie theater.
No, it can't be that bad.
It's not that bad. He's
I'm not.
exaggerating.
I'm
a
not
little
saying
bit.
everyone. I'm saying, but in some, you run that risk.
I mean, don't
Hey,
go
like,
to.
I like to make friends.
I mean, what does this say in Indiana that I live in Fort Wayne, the second largest city in the state, and we have 2 movie theaters?
Nobody likes to watch movies there.
Yes. So no
Mhm.
money goes into the theaters. We have an AMC that's considered an AMC classic
Oh, because it's so like
because it's
outdated.
not updated.
Yeah.
I want like the old Chinese theaters like they have in like New York and stuff, where they play
Did you
like
just
the
say
Kung Fu Hero
theater?
theaters.
A theatre?
The
Theaters.
theater.
That was very fancy of you.
Yeah, but I would like to have some of those where they like play like old school reruns and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you can find those around here, but they're called dollar theaters, and they play 2-year-old movies.
I'm talking like you go in there and watch Enter the Dragon or something like that, man.
Yeah, that'd be really cool to have. But oh well. But speaking of movies and media, Netflix has someone new writing for them. Isn't that right, Larry? You talked about this. You brought this up. Would you like
Yeah.
to talk about it a little more and give us some information?
Sure. I came across this probably a few days after I think the last recording that we did or last posting. Joseph Staten from Xbox made a big move, and as gamers, why we might want to care about this, especially if we're familiar with and really like, for instance, Microsoft and Xbox culture. For instance, Joseph Staten leaving, he was responsible for, Halo, really, like being a part of the development and production of Halo from Halo 1 all the way through. And essentially, push comes to shove, he gets Halo Infinite out, and next thing you know, Netflix taps him and says, hey, listen, we want to bring you over to develop games with us. And I think he pretty much just, slapped something on the table and said, pay me a big old fat check and I'll consider it. And, unleash me and give me all the money so that I can make a AAA title. And they went ahead and signed the check.
Wow.
This is a big deal for us in terms of what we can expect. Like, are we going to get fresh blood into Microsoft to change up how things go for Halo? Like, he was in Bungie, he was at 343, like helping out with Halo, and that's
Right.
huge. That's huge. Now, does he have a good enough impact on something that Netflix can do? And how do you guys feel about this type of move?
It's complicated because Netflix gaming has been a quiet push in my regard. Because yes,
Mhm.
I've heard about their push into gaming, but that's because I listen to 4 to 5 gaming podcasts a week. But does the average person who plays games for fun and has a Netflix account know that there's games on Netflix?
I didn't know.
You didn't know?
No.
Yeah, they have like a good little selection. I'm not sure how many games are on there, but there's a good handful of games that you have access to via your subscription
Yeah.
already.
I just
And
use it for Gabby's
we're-
dollhouse.
And
Right.
we're not talking about anything kind of like, you're not talking like Candy Crush. We're talking about a AAA title that they're looking to develop at this point,
Right.
and really
So-
break ground here.
So that's what gets complicated is, do they have the actual marketing mind behind gaming to break into that field truly? Are they doing it? Because I don't know anyone who's ever talked about, yeah, I played that on Netflix.
You're right. And we've seen other companies try to jump into the gaming sector, and for lack of a better way of putting it, like, sure, their businesses are strong, but they don't have like the patience to break into the gaming world and succeed. So think Google Stadia, and cloud gaming with Google Stadia.
Mm-hmm.
They
We'll
just,
actually talk about Stadia and another topic too today. So
yeah, yeah. So I mean, it's just like you think about that. Like they launched this platform, you think, okay, great, we've got another option, and the plug is pulled. Why? Because it wasn't succeeding. Could it succeed if given enough time? Who knows?
but that's
But
the thing. All these major companies trying to break into gaming because it's low key the most highest budget media subsect there is. It makes more movie than Hollywood. It makes more money than movies in general.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
of course these companies are wanting to break into it, but they don't have the mindset of, no, this is a long-term investment. This is going to take years, if not a decade, to start showing dividends.
right.
And they just balk after 4 years and say, never mind, hands up, walking away.
Right, right. If that were the case, then you would have that happen with Nintendo, Sony and Microsoft if they never stuck to their guns and kept it going. Now, granted, Microsoft is huge and has all the resources in the world. Google is big too. Like,
Right.
you know,
But Microsoft stuck with it. The original
right,
Xbox was a failure. It was an abject commercial failure. And
right.
yes, it had a lot of games that were highly renowned, very nostalgic nowadays,
Mm-hmm.
but it sold the less out of all the competitors. It
Yep.
had the least amount of games and the lowest sales numbers. Like, it
I
was a
mean,
Mhm.
failure.
it wasn't a pre-started company. Like PlayStation already had like one console underneath their belt by the time that console came into the console
But
race.
but here's the thing: if you talk to people that were even around back then, when your big players were just Sega and Nintendo, they made fun of Sony wanting to break into them. Like, and they literally made the jokes: "What does a game? What does a TV company know about games? What are they doing? They're kidding themselves. I can't believe that a company like that's getting into gaming." And then everyone saw the T-Rex demo for the PlayStation 1. They're like, never mind. We're here for
Yeah.
this.
Well, I mean, I also find that interesting with Nintendo too. Nintendo being a toy company. I remember watching the special for Nintendo and how everything kind of got rolling with I think it was, I can't remember his name, and that's terrible, but part of this documentary was about how this guy, decided he saw a piece of technology and he copied it and then pitched the idea to Nintendo, and then they said, "Well, go ahead and sell it and see how it does." And I think it was technically Game and Watch. I
The
can't
Game and
remember.
Watch. If it
Yeah.
was the Game and Watch,
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was basically the first foray into games, and it succeeded off the back of this one guy who then ended up heading up Nintendo of America, and he built this business just based on going to Japan and not knowing who he was going to talk to. But they were toys, they were cards, they were, things like that, and they didn't have anybody else telling them, no, you can't do it. And
Right.
now other companies that could possibly compete in the industry, they're so far behind. There's a lot of parallels in other businesses. It's a shame to see it, but if their heart's not in the right place, metaphorically speaking, I guess, in terms of like the business, if you don't have the core foundation of here's why our system will have a place in the future, it crumbles, and there you go. You got the Stadia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's just they don't have the drive to stick through the rough times.
Listen, I will say that Stadia at least stuck through more than the Ouya did. I actually
Yeah.
put money on the Ouya. Like I pledged some money to that because I was like, hey, that sounds cool.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, but and that's the thing that no one can stick through it, and it's hard to break into the market as an individual like Ouya
right.
because it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and you're talking trying to
Mm-hmm.
distribute it as an individual. Good luck.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're Google or you're Ouya, I'm gonna bet on Google lasting. and Ouya failing
Oh yeah.
unless somebody gobbles you up. Like if
Right.
Ouya did well and Google was like, I like this, I want to buy this from you.
And that's exactly my next point was going to be, though. And if there is any individuals that stay around long enough to get enough fanfare, they usually get bought up and disappear, i.e., like the Pebble smartwatch or Fitbit got bought by Google.
Yeah.
These stuff just get eaten up.
Yeah.
And then I delete my competition and I move on with my life.
Delete it or eat it.
Delete or eat it. I mean, yeah, Fitbit's still around, but you're buying a Google product.
Right.
I mean, but it's the same
absolutely.
way with like Beats. You're buying an Apple pair of headphones when you buy Beats. Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
so, yeah, it's one of the things that, on a larger scale of gaming, it's distressing because we start to see the things that are happening with, our existing developers and publishers and gaming companies are starting. It feels like they're withering on the vine a little bit and not having the same creative flow. So you're seeing things like Microsoft wanting to buy Activision Blizzard.
Yep.
And what springs up in its place? Because there's got to be something to step up, right? And take the place of a separate Activision Blizzard, right? But there's nobody around that has that tenure or that cachet to become the next thing at the moment, right?
See, you say that, but I heard it brought up. It was either on Giant Bomb or Nextlander where they talked about, yeah, I understand the idea that Activision is a big studio, but what have they done in the last 5 years of note other than Call of Duty?
I would say, I mean, we're not talking about anything groundbreaking. They're just keeping the big machine going.
Right. They're not bringing anything to the market that's like new and profound and interesting. They're just staying the course. And Blizzard's even doing the same thing.
They're cash cowing.
They've not had a new IP since what?
Right.
I can't even think of a new IP from Blizzard. It's been just Overwatch. Overwatch might be the last one.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Blizzard is a little bit different, I feel, because at least they bring out 4 to 5 different games every decade.
Mm-hmm.
See,
Activision just feels like, you guys want Crash Bandicoot?
Here's what I think is going on in the gaming industry. I think right now, the big ones are like playing it safe. Like, oh, you want another remake, remaster? And they're letting all the indie developers create these like outstanding new games, and they're buying them as soon as they like get a good game going out.
Because they don't want to take the risk. They'll allow a smaller fish to fry, so to speak, if they don't make it, and it's kind of like a proving ground. The innovators are in the indie development space taking risks on things that they otherwise couldn't, and some of these larger companies are willing to say, "Hey, I'll back you," or "Whoa, we saw your success, join us."
Right. But even that gets kind of messy because you have an indie team of 6 people making a game, and it's a smash hit and they sell 1 million copies. That's a roaring success for a company of 6. But once they get bought by an Activision like company or something, and then Activision wants them to make a new game, and they're like, yeah, but now we want you to sell 3 million. And here's a team of 56. And you didn't meet the sales we wanted, so we're going to disband your team. Have a nice day.
Franchise the shit out of something. That's what they do.
If it's successful, yeah, they franchise the crap out of it. But if it's even a slight disappointment compared to their expectations, then that team that was making great games is suddenly dead because it didn't meet shareholder expectations.
Right.
Yeah.
I kind of think of Cliff Bleszinski, who helmed Epic for the longest time and then went off to do his own thing, and then had things like Lawbreakers that fell apart, because he doesn't have that same support at this point in time. It's tough. It's a tough industry, and to see companies with deep pockets where money is everything, I get it. Like if they lose money on something, they don't want to see that line continue to dip down. But
it's not even about always having a loss, because just a few years ago, we had the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1+2 come out by Vicarious Visions.
Yeah.
Massive success, outsold expectations. Everyone was like, awesome, so we're gonna get a 3+4 next, right? Nope, that team got disbanded, got bled into Blizzard, and told you're going to be making stuff for Diablo 4.
Yep.
That's what they
Higher
got for their
priority.
success.
Higher priority, and there you go. You're making you're gonna make dead trees in Diablo 4.
Right, but it's just the sad state of the industry where a success gets you folded into being a support company for another company.
Yep.
I'll tell you what, it's a labor of love being in this industry, because I think like developers and creatives get it from both ends. They get it from us when we voice our displeasure with something. They hear it from their bosses when something's not done to schedule or something's not right. So I guess I'll go off on a tangent there in the terms of like, I appreciate you, developers.
I
appreciate your art.
Appreciate all the developers who put in all the hard work. They are the reason we have this hobby to begin with.
Yes.
But
so
that,
all
that
the
brings
props
me,
to them.
Yeah, that brings me to like our thoughts on the CMA blocking
Right.
Activision Blizzard acquisition by Microsoft. I have thoughts on that, but if you want to go ahead,
I also have thoughts because some of their reasoning, their base reasoning seems weird to me, and that they brought up competition in cloud gaming.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that was a weird one.
But what threw me off is I believe I heard it from Nextlander is one of the things they stated in their reasoning about cloud gaming was the failure of Google Stadia.
Mhm.
And I'm just like, how can you talk about the competitive market of the competitive market in this area over a failed studio or a failed platform?
Yeah.
Like how does that compare to competition if someone failed in it?
Right. Nobody took them out. They didn't make it. So there's no competition in it because no one else can make it.
Google did what Google does and killed a product.
Yeah.
Like just go to what is it? killedbygoogle.com and just look at all their projects they've killed.
Oh God.
It's hundreds.
Wow.
So that's go on.
Oh yeah. I mean, my thoughts on this is as simple as this is just a delay. I don't think we can literally stop the big machine in this case, and I think the CMA just literally like put a roadblock up that they're gonna get around.
And here's the weird thing to me, because I'm not for like consolidation of the gaming industry. I think it is a very bad thing overall. I'm okay with Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard at this point because Activision is a terrible company with terrible leadership, as is Blizzard. And Activision is literally just sitting on thousands of IPs and doing absolutely nothing with their portfolio other than here's another Call of Duty.
Microsoft needs it badly.
Right, so I would be thrilled to see Microsoft get the IP of Activision to be like, what can we make? What can we do with all of this?
Absolutely.
Because, I mean, I think I'd be more concerned if it was like, would I be more concerned if Microsoft is buying Ubisoft or EA? Would that be more troublesome? I don't know.
I think they're in the same boat, though. Like, Ubisoft is flailing a bit. And if Microsoft has a culture at this point in time that, for what we know from the public side of things, like, like Phil Spencer puts on a good show in terms of letting people know what his goals are and how his culture is for like who he works with, coming from where he was to where he is now. It seems like he has the right mindset and he has the cachet to get Microsoft to say like, yeah, okay, that works, Phil. Go out there and get it, Papa. Where if you were to throw this in Sony's court, do they do things that are best for the gaming industry, or do they do things selfishly?
Well, see, and that's where I would actually, Sony also buys other companies quite frequently. They do. But Sony goes about it in a different way. Where I see Microsoft of saying, we like your IPs, we like your work, we want to welcome you to our family and buy you. Sony is more like, we've had a good working relationship with this company for years. We're buying them. That's most of what their acquisitions their acquisitions have been, is studios that they've been working with. The one they just bought recently is one that they've already had a huge contract with to make a AAA game for them. And they were just like, we like what we see of the work so far. We're buying you before you get bigger. And I think
Yeah.
that's a little more reasonable than Microsoft being like, Bethesda, mine, Activision, mine.
It's still in the either eat or delete pool of things.
It is. And maybe it's my Sony fanboy coming out, but to me it's much more that Microsoft needs games that are for, first party, so they just buy studios that make games they like, when Sony has worked hard for years of making studios to make games. And I feel like Microsoft is taking, we have the money shortcut into
Well, I
building their
mean,
studio platforms.
there's 2 ways to win a race. I mean,
What are
Yeah?
the 2 ways?
you can be the tortoise or the hare.
Well, the
Microsoft
tortoise
is the
wins.
hare,
But the tortoise wins. So what do you say?
but
Not
the
if you
hare
make
still
turtle
finishes.
soup. Not if you
Not
make
if you
turtle
make turtle
soup.
soup. Or you could just mean Nintendo and just like they're in La La Land doing their own thing, totally oblivious to the world
But
around them.
hey, listen. They get it right off the fact that they also created another gaming industry. They have Nintendo, and because Nintendo didn't want to work with Sony, we have the PlayStation out of it. So
I mean, in some alternate universe, they did launch the Nintendo PlayStation partnering with
yes,
Sony.
Would you
always.
say? Would you say, guys? I'd look for your answers. Would you say that you expect that the Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal does go through, or do you think that it stands a chance of not happening?
As long as Microsoft has the money, they're going to push for it.
But
Yeah.
people in the UK are very stubborn.
They're also just as corrupt as American politicians, and enough things could sway them to their way.
It's just like, can they really stop it themselves? Right.
Right, because apparently it's already been talked about. Like, one idea floated is, all right, well, fine. I guess if this gets okayed in every other country, Activision games just won't be on Game Pass in the UK. So, moving on.
Yeah. So, Aaron, I guess you're saying you like my stance is it's going to happen anyway.
It's
Your
going to
stance?
happen. They're just not going to meet their expected date of like July 18th.
Yeah. Harry, are you the voice of dissent?
I think it'll still happen. I'm just
Yeah.
It's gonna take a while to break them.
See, and like I said, I'm just of the opinion this is not going to be another NVIDIA ARM accusation. NVIDIA pulled the plug on that after getting a little bit of resistance from, trade commissions. They pulled the plug. This isn't dead until Microsoft says, never mind.
Yeah. And I don't think they will. They're a dog with a bone at this point in time, and this is a huge deal
Don't
for the
know when to
money
quit.
spent. Yeah. Yeah. So
What else?
yeah, that's my feeling about it, and I would be excited with the acquisition.
Are you excited to play another broken game at launch?
Mm-mm.
Now,
Whatever do you mean?
I don't know. Something about a Star Wars game can't even run well on a 3090.
Hey, I've heard of that Star War.
How do you? All right. Got a big sigh out of Harold here. Harold, what are your opinions? You're a big fan of the original game in this series.
So this is falling under the umbrella of built for console. Because the PlayStation 5, and I'm assuming I haven't seen any Xbox play on it, but the PS5 had some bugs, yes, but overall looked way better than it did on PC. So I think that the port is what's killing it on PC.
I'm just tired of broken PC ports.
It's the world we live in right now. They'd rather PC is a big market, but 2 separate console markets compared to 1 PC market,
I don't know about you, but if I was running a business, I wouldn't say screw 20% of my audience.
Well, yeah, exactly. But I mean, that's not the world we live in. It's all about, maximizing profit. And if they can just easily port over something, oh, we'll patch it later.
Yeah, but that's unacceptable. That should be
And it is.
unacceptable.
I'm not debating that it's acceptable or not. I'm just saying that's kind of how it is. Kind of like why it's failing.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's not going to stop it because people are still buying it.
Yeah, I mean,
so they're not being punished for their bad game launches because they somehow couldn't QA test this before launch.
What I've read is I've watched some of it. The video, like, it's got better shaders, better quality all the way around, but the story is solid.
And,
Eh,
and that's what kind of sucks is everyone says reviews are great for this game. Reviews are just great, despite it launching in a broken state.
yeah.
But what I can't stand is the rhetoric I'm starting to see develop, and I saw it on Twitter today of people defending the studio for launching a broken PC port because quote unquote PC has have so much more variables in their ecosystem, so many different parts, so many different setups. How could they possibly troubleshoot for all of them?
I just think that that's been happening for many, many years.
That's been happening for
What has
40
changed?
years. It's
What
been
has
Yeah.
that way
changed?
since the 90s. Nothing's changed. Why is it
Yeah,
now broken? Don't make excuses for shoddy workmanship.
right.
This falls down into maximizing profit. That's what I think it would be. Like, yeah, I mean, you could make different versions, or you could just save some money, port it over, and then throw in some day one patches and try and, put a band-aid over that boo-boo.
Yeah, it's a conscious choice, and it falls. It can trickle down for sure. You've got developers that are working on this. Obviously round the clock. You know that there's crunch out there, no matter what, and what's prioritized in the workload, right? What's put in there, like get it as ready to ship out as possible. Console versions are gonna hobble along, and I've heard mixed things on console. I'm hearing just the beginning has some glitches, and once you get past the beginning, then you're good. Everything is fine. But the
Mhm.
PC port, you know, you got people calling it criminal. Like this should not be something that happens. And I agree. Like if I'm a console player right now, but if I were to move over to PC, I expect to have a superior
Oh, yeah.
experience to my console because I'm spending so much money on this hardware. And
Yeah.
if you tell me I'm going to spend that money and I've got to now wait, like we're content creators to an extent, and if I were really excited to play this game, what now have to make content out of your shitty game,
Mhm,
Right.
mhm.
for lack of, there's no other way to spin it. It's like now my content is going to be, listen, instead of enjoying this game and giving you a glowing review, I'm going to talk about how shit it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I saw a tweet about it earlier. It was someone with a 3080, which is a very powerful card, be it be not the most modern. It's still a powerful card. And they were getting sub 20 frames per second.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's unexcusable at this point. That's not just poorly optimized, that's you didn't do any optimization.
Mhm.
Like I hate right after we said we appreciate all game developers and they're the reason we have this hobby.
We
What
do, but
is
there's
the
only so much they can do. Like, think about it this way: if you're sitting in that office or whatever it might be, and you're like, I want to work on this because I got to fix it, and somebody else is saying that's not the priority, this is, you can't really do too much about it.
right, right. It's
So
the
it's the directive. There's probably so much going on with that we don't see because we're not a fly on the wall. But yeah, do I appreciate the work that's going into it? Like, obviously, we've got a great story here that once these bugs are fixed and ironed out, you're gonna have a great game.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
But
I just miss when game studios had like what do I call it? Like, the moral code of we're not going to launch this until it's ready.
Oh, you mean
Profit
pre-internet?
be profit be damned.
You
oh
mean
yeah,
I mean,
pre-internet games? Yeah.
pre-Activision Blizzard was that way.
mhm.
Blizzard even made the own jokes at several times of it's coming out soon trademark because Blizzard always it'll be out when it's ready.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It'll come out when we have it good enough to play.
But
Don't worry about
being able to packet quick fixes over the console now and the PC gives them the ability to put out shit.
yeah, and I think it was the old Shigeru Miyamoto quote. A bad game
yeah.
is bad forever. Not in the internet age. It's not a cartridge anymore. Like when you slapped one of those what was what was one of the old Nintendo cartridges where the games were just absolute shit? And
Atari.
that
Atari
put
kid.
Nintendo no, that like Nintendo then stopped people from just making Nintendo cartridges with bullshit in them. They had to be stamped Nintendo approved
Yeah, Nintendo
legitimately.
What
Nintendo
was it?
quality of seal, like seal of
Yeah.
quality, became a
Yeah.
thing. Sega
Yep.
did it too after that too. Games
Did
were
Atari ever
vetted
do
for the
it?
consoles. I mean, Atari just bought Bubsy, so
I mean, Atari had ET. Enough
Yeah.
said.
the desert also has ET at this point. Or do
Yeah.
they get all those out of that hole?
Oh no, they will never remove them, right? They're deteriorated at this point.
Mhm.
But I just, still sour from Callisto Protocol, and I'll admit that. I'm holding a grudge. But
Sure. Understandably so. We were all excited for it, and unfortunately, again, as the recipients and consumers of these games and these art forms, stuff like that, it's sometimes we'll get burned because what they put out there doesn't always, reflect the finished product. I mean, you've got Cyberpunk, which has now been like, oh, it's good now. You
yeah,
can come and
Yeah.
play it. What's the other one?
Uh, No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky.
no Mansky.
No Mansky.
No Mansky.
Just having a redemption arc. It can
Yeah,
happen, but why does it have to happen that way?
right. I
Because
almost give more,
money.
but I almost give like a game like No Man's Sky more credit because No Man's Sky, all these updates were free. They didn't even charge for the updates, and it's a different game now.
Yeah.
And they just stuck with it. But meanwhile, like this year alone, we've had Callisto Protocol broken on PC at launch. We've had Hogwarts Legacy broken on PC at launch, and now we have this. Like it's getting
Mm.
to be an epidemic, not just oh that sucks, the game launched broken. It's no, most major launches have been broken.
Maybe
We should make a bingo card of games that release for the upcoming year, like the remainder of this year and the upcoming year. And then, we can just randomize the names on bingo cards, and then whoever makes bingo wins,
Right, because I've hit the
or
point
whatever's
now
broken.
with launch after launch after launch just being broken. I'm not going to buy a PC game until reviews drop, period.
Yeah, no.
I'll still do that for console because I can trust
yeah.
a console game to run well.
It's because most
Even
games
if it
now
is
are
Redfall with 30 frames per second.
most games now are built for console. That's like the issue. Like it's literally
You've got to
your
support the lowest
weakest.
rung.
Your weakest is your strongest now. Like
Yeah. Yeah, well,
It's
but
it's
what
more
is it?
bespoke. It's more bespoke and tailored for each computer, because I could turn around and get a gaming computer that's nowhere near as strong as yours, and I still need to run the same game as you. But it's worse when we have 3 different units and all of them cannot run it.
Yeah.
Right. And can you care to explain me why suddenly in the era where consoles are just pretty much PCs,
Yeah.
that we're getting worse PC ports?
money.
I mean, both Xbox and
Money.
PlayStation 5's architecture is RDNA, AMD processors,
Mhm.
x86. They're PCs, just
Yeah.
not running Windows. And they can't port it to another x86 platform with AMD processors, even, and AMD GPUs. Still can't play the same game. I'm being a dead horse at this point with this rant, but
It may be come down to money, but it also may come down to release date being an issue. They say this day and they're like, oh well, we already have this. Well, make it work.
well, the thing
Get it
about
out.
that also is just money in a different language.
Yes, but time equals money. But
It's like,
you know what I'm saying though. Like,
I know. I'm just like, well, you did say you'd launch in the second fiscal quarter, and well, that's getting close, so that game needs to launch in the second fiscal quarter.
and it comes down to like what we've always talked about. It's you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't if you're a developer, but you're also damned if you do, damned if you don't if you're a player.
Right.
Now,
Console gaming all the way.
I'm a bit of everything except Xbox.
Give me my abacus and a ball in a cup. and
I
I'll
like
take it.
Speak and Spell and Etch a Sketch.
Something's wrong with me. WRNG wrong.
Now,
Oh.
Also, you guys were talking about this game that looks ridiculous called
Yeah.
Unrecorded.
Unrecorded. I put a
Yes, yes, yes,
typo
yes.
in the.
Is it unrecorded? I thought it was unrecord.
I think it's unrecorded.
Maybe.
Can we get a fact check on this?
Let's
real
fact
quick?
check it.
Fact check.
Give us music.
Beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, boop.
Anyway, it looks like it's gonna melt anything below a 3090.
Now, if that launch isn't broken, then I don't know.
Oh no, it is
what to do.
unrecorded. I am wrong.
Yep.
Oh, so I was right.
It won't be
Yes.
unrecorded when it releases, because I'm sure you'll record some content with it.
Well, we technically saw a recording of Unrecord, so
I don't honestly think if I'm going to be able to make content with this game. I think it will kill my poor little 1660.
I
game-
think it'll kill my 3070.
This game looks so real.
I won't be able to run it.
This is literally going to be the next Crisis, isn't it? Can it play Unrecord?
So it's Unreal Engine 5, but they are maxing that bitch out to put this game out. Like it is. I sent you guys some clips. It is.
Yeah.
It was to the point where they didn't believe that it was like gameplay.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, like some of what I've seen in the pre-rendered trailer, but the gameplay that was like put together as a vertical slice, there were sections of it that to me it looked like it was a cut from real life and then a seamless cut into integrated like graphics, where it just looked like from outside that looks so real. Then when you go inside to a certain extent, you start to notice the slight differences to structures and architecture. That's
Yeah.
like,
Right.
okay, I could see that.
And
It is really cool though. Like the perspective alone is like it's like a body cam footage.
yeah, it was a really interesting take on it. But what it comes down to, this is, I think, finally, after all the years of like NVIDIA pushing it forward, this is what ray trace lighting can really do to make things look photorealistic. Because
Yeah.
the lighting is what sold me on it. Like the light through the windows, the dust in the air, all those light beams and stuff. It made it look like, no, you're really in this building during the day.
Is it bad that it kind of reminded me of like FMV video cutscenes, like the ones from Resident Evil?
I mean,
No, I mean,
in a way,
not-
no, because that just means it looks realistic.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really curious to see how that pans out. And I like for all the people who were calling like, "Hey, this is fake," that kind of thing. IGN, as much as we want to give credence to this, like they've apparently played it. I pulled the link for you guys to be able to see it, like their takeaways from it, and it's going to be interesting to see if this pans out.
No.
'Cause, we know it's so early on. I mean, what do you think about a release date for this thing? You're talking years out at this point, I'd imagine.
I don't know how far they're into it.
True.
So that could be like we're like, oh, we're almost done. Let's start like putting some bites out there, see how it's gonna do.
And here's the thing we have to keep in mind too. We saw a very small vertical slice of it, and a pretty game doesn't mean it's a fun game.
Right.
Yeah.
We need to play it. We need to see more gameplay and what the game actually is, other than just pretty.
Here's my question on it though. If it is a good game that they are able to optimize so consoles and lower tier graphics cards are able to function with it with at least 60 FPS, is that going to set a standard for like any war type realism games in the future?
To an extent.
To an extent, I could see it being, but the fact of the matter is, the thing that is mind-blowing about this game right now is the visual spectacle. And if they sacrifice the visual spectacle on lower-end hardware, then it's lost part of its magic to begin with.
You're running into Watch Dogs all over again.
Right.
That's what you're doing. I see this game as not necessarily like the next Call of Duty in terms of like this changes war games forever. Like I see this as the Rainbow Six. I see this as the other end of the spectrum there. But I also, you're not seeing this on current generation. Like this is, if it's not next gen, if you want to expect that it's going to come out on console, which I don't think it would, rightly so, because it's something that's very tailored towards high-end materials. You're talking about 2 generations.
And that's what
yeah, go ahead.
That's what I'm feeling is all this gameplay makes me feel, oh man, games are going to be really pretty in 10 years.
Yeah.
Like when it's
Absolutely.
at the average level of power.
hmm
When I'm
Oh.
running a 6070 instead.
When I'm actually 70.
I'm gonna
But-
hop on and play some Call of Duty and bust a hip because I'm in
But
the...
if we're talking about good gameplay, let's talk about the surprise of Dead Island 2.
Yeah.
Because apparently it's good.
10 years of development hell, and it came out great.
Yeah, everyone was like, oh, this is just going to be Duke Nukem Forever again. Like, it's going to be a horrible game that shows that it's been restarted 7 times and had no directive.
Yeah,
But apparently
I agree.
not.
I had no faith in this game. I forgot it was actually even something that was really going to come out. Loved Dead Island. I loved the premise enough. When I transitioned over to like playing Dying Light, it filled the void for like just crushing some infected.
Right.
And I talked with Zarafia, friend of the show, and just asked him, elevator pitch, like, how does that stack up? How does Dead Island 2 stack up by comparison to, Dying Light? And I think he put it very, very nicely in the sense that he's like, yeah, listen, you got a nice parkour sim, with zombies in Dying Light, and you've got a really nice arcadey, pick it up, hack and slash, kill some stuff in Dead Island 2. That works really well and is really fun.
That sounds like fun.
Mhm.
And I've heard from outlets that the whole thing for me is it worth the $70, $60 price tag? And the guy was pretty much simply, if you like zombie games, yes. If you're mightily interested in zombie games, wait for it to be on sale.
Yeah.
But still, that is so surprising from a game that's just 10 years in development. And
like we go through all of this to talk about stuff that's broken on launch, yada yada yada, and then something where we totally expect it to fail.
Yeah.
Proves
that's
us
why
kind of wrong.
It's why the gaming industry is so hard to predict. You never expect things like Call to the Lamb to be a mass hit. Vampire Survivors being a TV series for some reason. Like, what?
That's cool news. I'm excited for
that. TV series, man. Twisted Metal.
Oh my god, did you see the trailer though?
Oh, that is...
It can't possibly be good. No,
but is it going to be so bad it's good?
Do not sidetrack us there. I
No,
like Anthony Mackie as much as the next guy, but...
Wait, are we talking about Twisted Metal, or are we trying to ring back to Dead Island?
Going back to Dead Island, because Harry was trying to take us on a detour. But
sorry.
I like Anthony Mackie. No, I don't think that's going to be good. And...
I'll do it for you. A chew.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't know. I would pick up this Dead Island when it's on sale, because I'm not, as someone who just bought Resident Evil 4 and Dead Space, I'm not a huge zombie fan.
Yeah, we got vampires to play against soon.
I'm a zombie fan, but I'm very zombied out lately on games, at least.
I mean, zombies have been a staple of gaming for like the last 20 years nonstop. It is. Why don't we have any werewolves?
That's a good question.
Why haven't we've had zombies, we've had vampires, but no werewolves?
What was it, 1884? What was that game?
I was just going to say Order 1884, I think, from PlayStation 4. Was it? That had werewolves in it?
3? Was it 4?
4. I think it's 4.
It was 4.
That's a pretty game, and it is fun for being a 6 to 10 hour game.
Mm-hmm.
But werewolves.
So,
yeah, werewolves in that one.
Werewolves still. We haven't got any werewolves in a while. Give us some werewolves.
You could be a werewolf in Elder Scrolls.
I think that it's so hard to portray like lycanthropy in a video game. Like vampires is like, blood. And it's like the transition from human to werewolf would probably take up a lot.
Well,
I mean,
also,
you got Altered Beast, technically.
Altered
Beast.
Sega. When's the last game there's been an Altered Beast game, Harold?
We need a new one, damn it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Is there anything else? Oh, I mean, you had werewolves in Resident Evil Village. You had the lycanthropes.
Yeah.
They were
okay, that's true. But I mean a werewolf themed game, like
straight up, like Benicio del Toro in The Werewolf, or a
video game, or game in general, because there is a card game called Werewolf.
I mean, we've all played that.
Are you talking? Is that the one where you guess who's the werewolf or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I got you.
But
that's a good question. I think Discord needs to tell us what good werewolf games we might not be mentioning.
I can't even think of one that's solidly a werewolf game ever.
Yeah, I'm sitting here trying to think about it.
Beep boop, beep boop.
Beep boop, beep boop. I can't think of one at all.
Gonna use the internet.
But I am tired of zombies, but I haven't seen a good vampire game since Blood Rain. And that might just me being favorable towards my past.
Is that actually good?
Hopefully, yeah, Blood Rain's.
The PlayStation ones, yeah. The early ones, the later ones, no. The movie, don't watch.
I got one for you. Werewolf the Apocalypse Earthblood. Came out in 2021. Was it good?
That's not a game.
No. That was a game, but it was a disappointment to pretty much everyone that played it.
Oh man, sounds like
my kind of game, just like my life.
Sounds like someone's description of me.
Would you like to call The Wolf Among Us a werewolf game?
No, because there's a werewolf in it, but it's not central to the plot necessarily. It's more of just he's the character.
How about 1990s Werewolf: The Last Warrior?
Are these like Steam exclusive? Because you could probably go on Steam and find a whole bunch of werewolf games, to be honest. But
I mean, also, if you do search werewolf on Steam, maybe put the adult filter on there. Just saying.
Oddly enough, The Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess is on the list.
Okay, actually, yeah, Link's a werewolf in that game. Mm-hmm. But there's also a Sonic game where you're a werehog.
Isn't it Unleashed?
Yeah, it's Unleashed. We don't talk about Sonic on this channel.
Oh, man.
Castlevania Lords of Shadow from 2010.
See, now you're just naming games with werewolves in them.
Okay, all right, you're right.
Diablo
Resident
2.
Evil Village, for sure. I called that one.
Diablo 2 is a werewolf game then, because I played as the druid.
There you go. You see, the druid in Diablo 4 had me excited because I saw.
Yeah, because also I think you can turn into a werewolf in Diablo 4 as well. There's lycanthropy as a skill tree.
I still don't know, and I'm derailing us. I'm sorry, but I don't know what class I'll play as.
Yeah, we can transition into our Diablo 4 topic now because I think we're all getting a little excited, but at least me and you are, Larry. I don't know about Harold. But
I don't know. Harold, are you excited for it?
4, I play with Diablo by ear since 3 came out.
Okay.
I'll wait for release to decide if I'm going to play. I've seen the beta and I like the beta, but also the beta doesn't also translate to the full game sometimes.
I mean, the beta is literally the first act of the game. The first zone.
He's trying to silence you.
The first 20 levels. But I digress.
No, I'm excited for it. I just want to see day one release statistics before I buy anything.
I played as the barbarian on the first beta. I want to try out the necromancer pretty bad, but haven't had a chance yet.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been like a rogue character, so like I was the demon hunter primarily, and then I went to the crusader.
Crusader smash, dude! So much fun.
So yeah, like looking at Diablo 4, I kind of want to go a different route, and I don't want to be a barbarian, and I don't think I want to do the rogue. So I mean, I'm starting to look at necromancer, I'm starting to look at sorcerer, or I'm looking at druid, and I'm thinking to myself like, all right, which one's gonna be the most fun? And kind of seeing the druid like hop around and stuff like that makes me think, okay, that could be fun for me. But it's going to be real tricky because I want to play as multiple characters. And from the last recorded show and even before that, we've talked about Diablo 4, and I wasn't as excited as I just recently got in between episodes.
It's starting to hit home a little bit that it's getting close, that it's coming. They're having another open beta in May.
I won't play it.
So why not?
Just going to go in fresh.
I might play the beta because you get some things for playing the beta in the main.
You get like a little doggo and like a
mount, I think,
a mount
and
reward,
a title card. Yeah, I guess it's all cosmetic, so I really care. But I was already level like 10 when I stopped playing, so I just got to get 10 more levels in.
I'm gonna be a hipster. Everybody else is gonna have all their swag, and I'll be like, I'm an OG. I didn't play at all.
I'm an OG. I've never played this.
I'm still playing Diablo 1. What are you talking about?
Man, Diablo 1 still hits pretty hard, but
Oh yeah.
Diablo 2 is who has my heart to this day.
Oh yeah. Diablo 2 really. I went back and played Diablo 1 because I played Diablo 2 first.
Right, right. Now, when I grew up, I never got to really play Diablo 1 when it was fresh, but I did have a friend who made me watch him play Diablo 1. So, because we
See,
all had that friend, right? That we went over to his house and he made you watch him play video games.
I had the friend that had Diablo 2, and I'd watch a little bit of that. And I will say, probably like I'm in the minority here, is I picked up Diablo 2, and I just didn't have the patience to sit through and play
Fair.
it. I think a little bit of my attention was diverted all over the place, and playing like Diablo 3 versus obviously a dated Diablo 2, even for a remaster, it was just like, okay, I get what this is. I just don't have the time to go through an entire campaign.
That's
Mhm.
fair. That's fair. And see, I grew up, Diablo 2 for me was I played it at home. I had two friends who played it at their home, but also I had a friend who had two computers at his house that both could run it. So I was obsessed level. I put my character on a floppy disk, took it over to my friend's house, put my character on his computer so I could play it there, copied it back, took that back home, put it on my
Oh,
computer, and went back
Played
and
it in both
forth.
places.
that
Yeah.
that was the
Yeah.
good old days though when you could play Diablo on a toaster.
I mean, anything could. No, actually, my friend's computer couldn't run it because they only had a 3 gig hard drive.
Oh. See, it wasn't a graphical thing; it was a memory.
And that game would take up a half of that space.
I'm so happy that we can say like we remember those days, and the fact that you say floppy disks. There could be some folks out there listening in the 14 countries that now listen to the Gamer Sleep
Woo!
podcast. Congratulations. Hats off to
And a
super
1,000
producer
views,
Harry.
over 1,000 views total, finally.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that-
milestones.
Oh, man.
Listen, we got to pat ourselves on the back sometimes. We put
That
this show
is-
out here for you.
That has jumped almost by 100 in the last 2 days.
I mean,
That's excellent.
we finally started really like getting out there. You guys have been putting in a lot of work on the socials, and so happy.
But in any case, like it's kind of fun because there are going to be some folks that haven't had that experience, and for me, my old computer gaming experience was like Duke Nukem and Quake, original
Mhm.
Quake, where
Oh,
it was just,
Quake,
like,
man.
there was
See,
like nothing to it.
I was
Red-
very much a Diablo, Warcraft, Starcraft, and Command and Conquer kid.
Mhm.
Quake, Red Faction. Oh,
Oh yeah, I remember Warcraft. I just remember clicking all over the place, and like the orc would be like, "Yes, sir."
Zug
You know.
Zug.
Yeah.
Moktaro Car.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, all that.
And now my
Workstone.
my World of Warcraft microphone just makes me sound like one.
Heck yeah.
Never touched World of Warcraft in my life. I'm sorry.
You shouldn't. You shouldn't.
Yeah.
I don't advise it. I've lost too much of my life to that game.
yes, that game is very like, oh, what time is it? 11 o'clock? I think I'll play. I've only been on 30 minutes. It's 7 o'clock?
Yeah. I mean, what? Back in the day, you had the stories of parents not feeding their kids and them dying because they were too busy playing the game. It's a horrible toxic
Oof.
thing.
It's very
Ugh.
easy to lose yourself in that game.
It is. And so every once in a while, I get the itch to go back into an MMO, and I'm like, I don't have the time for it. I can't even finish a 12-hour game, let alone an MMO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
speaking of
so
other games, have any of you guys seen the new gameplay for Tears of the Kingdom that got released this week?
I have
Despised the
not.
trailer.
I'm still
just
on
saw-
trailer only.
I just saw like the floating islands recently.
Apparently, Nintendo invited several outlets out to New York City to play a small vertical slice of the game. And apparently, it's just as good as Breath of the Wild. Like how much fun it is, and how free it is, and how there's hundreds of ways to solve a puzzle.
Well, you can't go back now. Literally, you got Breath of the Wild. You cannot go back to old school.
Right.
Yes, you can.
Right.
Give me Oracle of Seasons, Oracle of Ages all over again.
Then go
Give me
play
that.
them on the Nintendo Online Plus expansion pack, whatever they call it, because those are there now.
It's like
I still feel kind of overwhelmed by what Breath of the Wild and what Tears of the Kingdom are in terms of jumping in. and that's kind of
Play.
what's dissuading me away from them.
How much have you played Breath of the Wild? Admit it to us all here on a public forum.
It hasn't changed since the last time we talked about it.
Say the answer. Don't dance around it.
I'm gonna tap dance.
No, tell us. Is it like 2
I have not.
hours?
I've Batmaned it. I've not played it at all.
So you're overwhelmed by a game you haven't touched.
Yeah, like like the feeling of like, well,
Larry,
I'm gonna buy this thing. I'm gonna play like 10 minutes of it, and then I'm never gonna touch it again.
Larry, steal some Adderall. Sit down. Play this game.
So, Breath of the Kingdom.
Breath of the Kingdom.
Breath of the
Tears
Kingdom.
of the
Breath
Wild.
of the Breath of the
Listerine,
Wild.
the gum disease gingivitis.
Breath of the Wild. No, Breath of the Wild.
That's probably just as bad. Nobody's brushing their teeth in the wild.
You can play it how you want to. Like, my wife and her sister were playing it like simultaneously, and her sister is a completionist, whereas my wife wanted to get through the story. So you can do it either way.
I mean, last time I started Breath of the Wild, this is stupid. I decided I don't want to do shrines. I don't want to do the beast. I don't want to do Ganon. I want to go to every single tower in the game first.
Mm-hmm.
I want to uncover the entire map and then start playing. And I did it. And it was fun. And I had to find different ways to get through these areas because I didn't have the fire armor. I didn't have the frost armor. I just had to find different ways to get around those limitations, and it was fun.
Listen,
and then I stopped playing.
You're proving my point. I was just going to be overwhelmed by the amount of options of how I can take on this game, and it's going to give me that. See, I'm a person that suffers from like choice paralysis, so like even the act of like bringing it back to Diablo 4, choosing a class, is going to be like.
Then here's the thing I'd
3
recommend.
hours later.
If you finally cave and try Breath of the Wild, go in with the intent to be aimless. Go in with the intent of forgetting about the objectives, but just looking at your surroundings and be like, ooh, I want to go here. Actually, embrace your ADHD and be like, ooh, this looks interesting. Let's go see what it is and do it.
So I think here's one thing I can say about Breath of the Wild. It is very open and very vast, but it does tend to funnel you into what you need to do to progress.
And that's a compliment, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like it's not gonna leave you hanging. Like it kind of leads you, but it also has that ability to like GTA it and be like, fuck this, I'm gonna go fight some trolls.
Right. Or I'm gonna go kill all these bosses. You could just. That game is also very good. If I have a half an hour to play a game, I'm gonna do some exploring.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, I'm kind of partial to the idea of Link saying, "Fuck this, I want to fight some trolls," which would never happen.
That's his only vocabulary is like grunts and screams.
Which is why we need a Legend of Zelda movie with the same limitations.
Who would we play in there? Like Zac Efron just playing Link, and he's like, all his
He's just
lines
doing
are
Everett.
Ah.
I think we might have hit the limit on the show with this, folks. We might have to wrap up after that. Grunting is not a good show.
It's the beginning of Harold's voice acting career. Just right there, you heard it first.
I'll
Sponsored
support
sponsored unofficially by G Fuel.
His
My
first role will probably be a hentai, but it's okay.
Sugoi.
And like I said, we are coming near the end of the show with this.
That's the show for today, folks. Sorry to the 14 countries listening.
Maybe we might get
Anyway,
Japan now. We'll get Japan now.
Is there anything you guys would like to hit on last minute? Anything that you'd like to touch on? Things you got planned?
Gonna hit on Harold for his wonderful new haircut.
It's actually grown out quite a bit.
It was the hentai voice that did it, wasn't it?
It made me wiggle my eyebrows and say. Rrr.
I'm to the point of getting it cut now. I want to decide if I want to get it cut again or grow it back out.
Get it cut
Grow
again.
it back out. You're gonna get it cut again. Because what was the point of cutting it if you're just gonna grow it back out again?
The point of a haircut is maintaining it. Says the person who hasn't got a haircut in 10 weeks. But
I went a year and a half, so my hair was like literally down to my chesticles. So
All right. Well, anything coming up for you, Larry, that you wanna plug?
Nothing in particular. I mean, I'm gonna continue my streams of Resident Evil 4. Um, we'll see if I end up diving into the world of Tears of the Kingdom. You know, when that arrives, that's May, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
do it.
I don't know that I will. We'll see. Um, probably not going to be jumping into Jedi Survivor.
It's broken, so it's fine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I wasn't a big fan of Fallen Order because of its pacing,
Hmm.
but again, ADHD. Like I'm just terrible. So,
Right.
um, yeah. I mean, stream schedule is probably going to be like Tuesday, Wednesday, Wednesday, Thursday, that kind of thing, alternating, and just trying to keep up with you know the seething throng of folks looking to get our attention in the Discord.
Sounds awesome. Now, Harold, I know you're taking a bit of a hiatus break / done with streaming, but you got anything on the horizon that you got coming, working on?
I am doing some videos for Bendy and the Dark Revival that I
Ooh.
have a couple recorded. I just got to do some editing on them to get them out. I
Fun.
tend to do one edited recording a week and one kind of just raw.
All right. Awesome, man. Looking forward to
That's
seeing
fun.
all that. I've been back to streaming on Fridays. I've been playing a little bit of Overwatch and a little bit of EVO, The Search for Eden, the Super Nintendo game that almost no one's heard of, but
But
it's
it's
been
very
fun.
expensive.
It's like $300 a copy if you can find a real one, which I somehow have. But anyway, I've got nothing else going on. So it's been great being here with you guys. You all know where to find us. Links in the description. Find our link tree, find our Discord, hang out. But other than that, game on and sleep well.